All right, we're going to wait just a few more minutes to see if anybody joins us. If you're there, if you'll just click a like and let me know that you're there and listening. Today we're going to talk about toddlers and consistency with them. We're also going to talk about ways to survive the summer. Everybody's finishing up with graduations and those end of the year projects and getting those last grades in, awards, you name it. So summer's already here and upon us, so we're going to talk about that for just a bit. So I'm going to wait just another second or two. Surviving all the rain. It's been kind of soggy. Hey girl, hey! Alright, so here we go. So our first question this week was about surviving with toddlers and being consistent with them. And a lot of times the question I get more often than not with children under the age of 3 is, well, let's go a little bit further, even under the age of 4, is what can I do to, as a consequence or a punishment that will, sink in. Well, with that age, really, it's more about consistency. And I think with the question, our parent, in most cases, when we ask a question, we already know the answer. But with that, it's all about doing the same thing over and over. And a thing that gets a lot of parents with that is, they go to bed, as John always says, they go to bed just this dream child, and they wake up from a nap, the demon spawn of Satan, kind of thing. So it happens almost overnight with that age, and that's where we get the phrase terrible 2s, terrible 3s. 3s are way worse than 2s ever thought about being, I always say. And, a lot of times Mommy hasn't had to use her Batman voice, as we call it. She has been Mary Poppins this whole time, and, it's great. And so that first time you are no, or you have to be stern, they laugh. And then what do we do as adults? We get offended and, they're so, are they, trying to play me or do this or do that? And we take it completely the wrong way because we want to portray adult characteristics on our children, when that's not the case at all. But your voice has very much changed. Your demeanor has very much changed. And for a child that age, it comes out in laughter because that is, that's very different. And it sounds funny. Mommy sounds funny. So don't take offense to that. Don't get riled up about that, but be consistent. And the more you do that, the more that they are able to correlate when Mommy has that tone of voice, when Mommy says no, when I can't stop, or she is consistent in her expectation, though they can't verbalize that, that is still something that they will pick up on. So it's more your consistency in doing things in the same way. Just like we talked about last week, it's all about consistency, it's all about routine and procedure. It's not about being married to the clock. It's not about, well, they've got to go to bed at 8 o'clock, or they've got to go to bed at 7 o'clock. It's about doing things in the same routine, the same order, so that that's what they are familiar with. So with a 2-year-old, with a 3-year-old, it's doing it consistently, not empty threats. And again, these are the same kinds of things that we say for any age group. But when you start them from birth and you really start honing that in and making that, something that is very prominent in their life, that they are not, you're not going to waver on your expectation. When they're 2 and 3, it makes 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8 a whole lot easier. Not that there won't be challenges, but it's going to be a whole lot easier than if you, don't stick to your guns and you don't keep that consistency. So again, that's true for any age. Consistency and procedure and routine, and letting your yes be yes and your no be no. So you will survive. We've all survived, those of us that have been through it. Just keep on loving on them, keep on, but don't let love be confused with, enabling and giving in. And the more you have these episodes of just mayhem, let that be, a way to remind yourself that they are becoming more capable of doing things on their own. And sometimes that capability is met with our expectation of them to actually use that capability And they really have liked the way, things have been up to that point. They like you tending to their bottom and feeding them and whatnot. So now they're able to do that. You need to expect a little bit. So another good point to keep in mind is if, you don't get thrown every time they act a fool, if you expect that they're going to show out, then you're a whole lot easier equipped to handle those situations. You're not as thrown off by it. You don't get so emotionally involved. And as women, we're all emotional and everything's got to be high drama and everything's an issue and a challenge and so devastating. But girls, we got to back off that ledge just a little bit. Own your motherhood, own your parenting. You've got this. God gave you these children for a reason, for you to lead them. So lead them. You know what you're doing. Be confident in that. All right. Summer, real quick. Summer's here and we are going into this, and most of the time most parents have the best intentions. I'm not going to let them sleep all day. I'm not going to not give them any chores and responsibility. I'm not going to let them sit in front of a screen. And what happens 2 weeks in, kind of goes by the wayside. But truly, 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 if you have a plan, and a plan does not have to consist of 1,000 different camps, 1,000 different VBSs, 1,000 different, activities for them to be involved in. It's okay for them to be bored. It's okay for your child to be bored, to not have something to do. When we don't have something to do, that's when the creative part of our brain can have a chance to work, to take over, that's where we learn to problem solve. That's where we learn to find things to do. And that's where this application, when we are adults, comes in handy when we have to sit in the waiting room, when we have to wait in line, when we have to sit at the DMV. Okay, you've got to sit, you've got to be patient. Now, we've got cell phones to keep us busy, and we're all on those. But prior to that, and not always, if your battery dies, you don't have that either. So you have to learn how to occupy yourself. You have to learn how to not act a fool, how to, be in a public situation. So you need to allow your children those opportunities when they are younger so that they can then apply that, because that is real life. You will have to be bored. You will have to wait. You will have to learn how to occupy yourself. And you will have to learn how to entertain yourself in your mind. We are not allowing our children's brains to work at their full potential. So, yes, have some things for them to do. Have expectations for them at your home. No, they don't need to sleep all day. Yes, there does need to be a routine and a procedure. Do they need to get up at 5:36 in the morning like they did during the school year? Probably not, unless that's what your schedule dictates. If they are going to childcare, if they are going to a camp, whatever the case may be, a sitter, grandma's. If that's what it is, then that's what it is. Don't feel guilty about that. Mm-hmm. You're doing what's best for your family, and if that's what it requires, then that's what it requires. So, have expectations for them. If you have older children, if you have teenagers, they need to make a contribution around the house. Ideally, your teenagers, if they are of driving age, they should have a job outside of the home. That's just my personal opinion, but they need to have a job. They need to be contributing in some way. If they do not have a job outside of the home, then they need to be contributing in your home. And it's not okay for them to sleep until lunchtime. Well, they don't have anywhere to go. Well, they need to learn to get up, get ready for the day, not just hang in their PJs all the time. But get up, get dressed, do things around the home, have a way to contribute to the family so that when those of you who have been working outside of the home come home, you're ready to spend time together as a family. That summer reading, don't wait till the last minute. Don't let them stay up all night long. These late, it's okay a little bit in the summertime to extend those bedtimes. Absolutely, that's part of the fun of summer. But don't get so out of whack that by the time, it's time to return to school and return to those routines, that we're so far in the opposite direction that we have a much harder time and the school year begins on a rough note. You need to always be thinking forward. Again, we want to think about our children, what we want for them when they are 30. We want to think about what we want for them when they have to go back to school when it comes to summer. So have a routine, have a procedure, have expectations for them, hold them accountable, and the summer will be a much more pleasant experience for everyone. If you have specific questions about summer or things that you have coming up, and you'd like those questions answered as well, I encourage you to submit those during the week. Anything else that pertains to your families, your parenting, whatever the case may be, send us a little note, drop us a comment, and we'll be happy to answer those. If you need any encouragement in the meantime, I encourage you to check back on our Facebook page. You can email me at swatts@happily.parenting.com. I'm always available to answer any questions that you have, and I hope you guys are able to finish up the school year on a high note and get a good start to your